4th, and this is the Hendrick Hudson School Board of Education meeting. Please say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So items removed from the consent agenda. Next is the acceptance of donations. Tonight we have 2 donations. The first is a donation of $370 for the Furnace Woods Elementary School. This donation was made by an employee from New York Life. Thank you very much to that employee. Can I get a motion to approve this donation?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second donation is a donation for the Barbara Katzenstein Scholarship Fund in the amount of $25. The Office of Special Education received this donation, and it is utilized to pay for partial summer camp funding for students with significant handicap conditions. Can I get a motion to approve this donation? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is audience comments, and we don't have an audience this evening, so we will move on to the next item, which is the superintendent.
Okay, a number of updates and dates for everyone to be aware of. Hen Hud Live is back March 2nd at the Factoria at Charles Point. They have a Facebook page, they have a website, they're selling tickets, they're doing all of their networking with area businesses and not so area businesses for silent auction and raffle items for people to bid on. Oh, maybe it's the 3rd. Is it the 3rd?
It's a Saturday
It's
or
a Saturday.
It's the third.
Saturday the 3rd, Saturday, March 3rd, but you can go on March 2nd.
And buy your tickets early.
That's
and
right.
wait,
You can wait in
camp
line.
out.
It's going to be a big deal. You'll get a good parking spot. The high
sleep in your
school.
car, take it.
Yeah, right. It's like they do in college. The high school Leos are doing something different this year. For the last 2 years, they partnered with the American Cancer Society on the Relay for Life, and I just interviewed 2 of the co-chairs who are taking that venture, but doing something different. They're doing a dance marathon at the high school from 5 p.m. to midnight on June 15th, and in a very similar format to the Relay for Life, there will be teams to raise money and participate. You have to participate and dance your feet off for those 7 hours. It sounds like the Dome will host DJs and different dance competitions, and they're trying to get in different live bands that will perform in the gymnasium. There will be food and snack and vendors and outside people, very similar to Relay for Life. So I just interviewed those girls today.
Danielle and Sammy.
And yes, and Taylor Kopiak. Yep. And I know that Lisa's involved. I don't know if you have anything you want to
Lisa's been one of the biggest fundraisers all along.
Yeah. Did I miss anything?
I think you got it. In all of her extra time.
Just love it, man.
No, I think that one of the things just to be aware of is that the money raised for this year's dance marathon is going to be going to local charities to help people that are local with cancer, which is the difference from years past.
When it was Relay, you had to commit it to
the
American Cancer Society.
This time it's
Doing
really
it this way, they have more latitude now to keep it more local. Yeah.
Local charities that help support families who are doing cancer.
Crew, something Crew is the name.
Well, there's Love
Holds Life.
Love Holds Life, and there was also support.
That's not. I don't know that they've
I don't know
determined
if they've really
exactly.
determined
I think
exactly
that they are. The Relay was unfortunate. They would have. That was a there's more to it, but one of the concerns that they had, one of the benefits of having this having to make this change is that they could go more local, which is, it's so important because
Wonderful.
it's our kids, it's local, and they'd rather keep the money within the community and help the people, you know, who they see needed, as opposed to, you know, something that's more faceless.
So that's June 15th, and you can have a team, or you can just show up and donate and spend money and dance if you wish. Tomorrow, our cheer team is heading to their national tournament. They will be in Dallas, so they will be there until Sunday. So we'll certainly communicate any updates on their achievements in Dallas. This week, if you really can't believe it, I can, is midterm week, Regents Week, and it's the halfway point. So we are halfway through the school year. We will be graduating kids in just about 5 months to the day. And we have one who's
Exactly.
finally get that last one out of the house. So I understand Mary Pat has a countdown, her days on countdown.
No, Jack's got it.
Oh, yeah, Jack has it. So that's, we're officially at the halfway point. We're continuing to button up our summer programs. Margaret talked 2 weeks ago about partnering with the Daisy Joplin Foundation. We've had a couple follow-up meetings, and she is planning or proposing some really innovative programs. So in the next few weeks, we will send out save the dates and some descriptions of what those programs are, and we're excited to partner with her. And also next month, we will start our deliberations here with the board on our school calendar for next year. We finally received all of the requisite information from the state ed department about when state testing is, regions, all those sort of things. We think next year's school calendar will sort of fall into the same format of this year, where we bring staff in for a couple days in August, start kids immediately on the Tuesday after Labor Day, and sort of get right into the swing of things. So we have a committee that needs to meet that involves different facets of the staff, and we'll have some recommendations to you in February. And that's that.
There was a little shout out. The Katona Art Museum has the artwork of several of our students, which is really cool, so people can go there and visit it and see it.
Nice.
It's really, there's 3 from Henha that are there, and it's really nice to see.
Because why?
Well, they were selected from schools in Westchester County. And
They submitted their artwork.
They submitted their artwork.
Good.
I mean, even walking in and out here.
It's always wonderful to just check what they, and even into the lobby.
In the presentations.
And
Yes, all the artwork
presentations,
and
I thought,
presentations.
there you go, you'll see it if you.
And one last update is I mentioned to everyone over the last couple months we've been interviewed and supplying some information to NPR regarding Indian Point and what that means for us. And we just received notice today, an email and some text messages going back and forth that their story, NPR's Indian Point story, will air tomorrow morning at 5 and 6 a.m. on Morning Edition. And usually their intent was to turn their story into a podcast or to archive it. So once we get that link, if you're not up at 5 or 6, we'll broadcast that. I don't know really what their angle is, if there is an angle. I know I met with the reporter for a little over an hour and a half and gave them a lot of financial information. I don't know who else they interviewed. I don't know what their position is on Indian Point, but we told our story, and we'll see how it's shared. So if you're not up early to listen to it, we'll get you a link as soon as it's available.
Thank you.
Thank goodness.
Committee reports?
Well, Finance Committee met, but pretty much what we discussed will be addressed in Enrique and Superintendent's presentation in a few minutes, so.
And Facilities Committee also met, but I think that's also going to be covered in the presentations.
Went to the joint Blue Mountain Middle School, High School PTSA meeting on Monday, where the 8th grade students get to come and ask a panel of high school students all of their pressing questions about high school and what's in store for them for next year. We had a very good turnout. I'd say there were about 50 students that came with their parents. The library here was very full of enthusiastic kids. on both sides of the panel table, both answering and asking questions. So that was very exciting.
It's terrific that they're doing the joint things because it really helps alleviate. And the kids don't care what you as a parent say. They want to hear
They
what the
don't?
other
Exactly.
They want to know what the other kids are saying. So.
All right, so I think we're ready for our presentation.
So we're moving along. As we all know, it's budget season, so we've taken our
Right there.
Yeah, there's some hard work.
Good evening, everyone. Working? Yeah. Today we're going to discuss the administrative budget. But before that, I'm going to give you an update on the budget. Also, I want to introduce a new topic, and that's the tax stabilization reserve. So, the Energy System Tax Stabilization Reserve was passed by the New York State Legislature because of Indian Point closure. Joe and Linda Puglisi and all our state legislators, assemblywoman, went to the legislature and said we need to have cut in some way before money. And they asked us what we needed, and we said we need to start by being able to put some money aside, some of our savings, so when Indian Point closes, we have some kind of reserve to mitigate the money that we will be using from the pilot payment. So they passed a proposition authorizing us to establish the reserve. The reserve is going to be established for the whole and simple purpose of avoiding spikes in tax levy as much as possible due to the Indian Point closure. The money will not be used for anything else but for that reason. The creation of this reserve must be approved by the majority of the voters. That means that in May, when the community goes and vote for the budget, vote for the budget for the library, there's going to be a separate proposition to allow the district just to open the reserve. At this point, we just need to open the reserve, and then over time, starting the following year, we're going to try to fund the reserve during the next 10 or 15 years, with the only reason to try to mitigate spikes in our tax rate. Budget updates, there's very little to update you. Our administrative fee for BOCES is going to increase $27,000 more than I expected, and that's because they are planning to do some capital projects. And then our New York State aid was decreased by $100,000. However, Lisa has very good news for me this morning. It looks like we're going to get paid a very good amount of money from our stocks. It's not in the wrong from 2 weeks ago, but we're having a meeting with Questar and with the state, and we will update you on those numbers the next time. But if those numbers come close to what we think they are, I think we're smooth sailing for the budget. So our preliminary budget is basically the same as we discussed on January 10th. Because of BOCES, the budget will increase a little bit more. So we're still in the process of thinking that our budget will decrease between $800,000 to an increase of $665,000. That means a decrease of between 1% to 0.8%. Our fund balance stays the same and the rest stays the same. So let's go to the administrative budget. The administrative budget is the smallest part of our budget. It only represents 6% of our budget, and that's divided in 5 different categories. General support, that is 1%, curriculum development 53, central administration 27, and central services 19%. So what's general support? Basically, it are all the salaries for our Board of Education, that's nothing, 0. Then we spend some money in sending the boards to conferences. Then we need to pay for some memberships, for training, and also we have to pay the district clerk for her salary, expenses, Board of Education meetings, and the district election. So that, in this case, the increase is going to be 0.6% or $167. The second part is a part that starts with the Office of the Superintendent. That includes salaries, supplies, equipment, and you can see in parentheses the number 2, and that's the FTEs. In this case is Joe and Roseanne as his administrative assistant. Then the business administration, that includes my salary, my expenses, and of my whole staff. I have a staff of 4.5 people, and with me is 5, and the increase is going to be $26,000. And finally, the third part of the administration is the treasurer, auditor, and taxes. Taxes, we don't pay taxes, but we need to pay Pigskin for them to send the Pigskin residents their tax bill. In this case, between our internal auditors, our external auditors, our treasurer's salary, and the $30,000 that we budget for Pigskin, the total is $1.287 million, an increase of 3.5% or $8,500. The next one is central services, and these are legal costs. Legal costs, we've done well so far, so I'm reducing it by $5,000. Then we have the personnel department, that's 2 people. That's Matthew as personnel director, and Fran as his assistant, all the material supplies. Then we have public relations, and finally the BOCES administrative fee, for a total of close to $1 million, an increase of $37,000. Finally, the important one is curriculum development. We have the office of the executive director, that's Margaret, and Jane, her secretary. Then Joe always has $5,000 strategic planning money, so he can use for new developments. Then you have curriculum development. And finally, school building administration. That's all our principals and his secretaries, office supplies, salaries, equipment, repairs, everything for the principals and his or her secretaries. And here is the majority of this part of the budget, and this is $2.5 million, or an increase of $48,000. There's 24 FTEs for them, and I'm not taking into account Lisa and her staff because we like to put those salaries and those people in the special education section. So when Lisa presents and shows her salaries will include also the administrative salaries and the salaries of the three administrators. So here you have it. Our total administrative budget is going up from 4.6 to 4.7. That's an increase of 129%. Or
Wait a minute.
sorry, 129,000 or 2.8%.
Big difference.
So thank you to the high school art students. I'll entertain any questions.
Can we get that to 2?
Hmm?
Can we get that to 2? Can we get that to 2% instead of 2.8?
Well, one of the big things that Enrique led with it is BOCES, their capital project. Their fees are their fees. We receive aid on every BOCE service and person
So-
and expense.
Out of these 129,000, you look at BOCES, and BOCES represents 27,000.
No, I was just looking at our own central administration, central services, where I saw 2.8, 3.8.
Well, remember one thing, for example, if we go to
Right there.
Joe, that is very simple. It's not that he's having a 2.8
Oh, I know
budget
that. That's
increase.
what I know that.
The issue is that last year, by the time we did the budget, he didn't have a contract. So I just put the number of the past year. So that's why it's not a 2.8% from last year. Same for me, same for all the confidentials. We closed the confidential contracts when, Rosen, like April, May, no? And by then it was already in the budget. So when I don't have numbers, I keep the numbers from the prior year. So that's why the numbers this year look higher. Last year they looked lower.
I just like the public to know that we, as a board, like to do what we're supposed to do for the tax.
What I can do then is show the budgeted from last year, the actual, and what is projected for next year, because that would be, that would be the right comparison. What is actual, but that would be only salaries. Then what do I do with
I
the
think your
rest?
explanation is good. I just wanted to make sure that,
It's on the record.
right.
Does anybody else have any questions?
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique.
I want to talk a little bit about an Indian Point update that I didn't want to cover in the superintendent's report, but we met today with the state and Riverkeeper to talk about this $15 million fund. Part of the negotiated closure agreement was Entergy or Indian Point would create a $15 million fund for community and environmental use. And I want to read the actual agreement so that there's no questions about what this $15 million can be used for. Because remember, this was part of their closed negotiation that became public at the end. So I'll read it to you and then I'll tell you what I think it means. Community fund to further augment its commitment to the environment and the community in which Indian Point operates, Entergy shall establish a fund in the amount of $15 million. The goal of which is to fund projects designated to benefit the Hudson River and to support the community and provide environmental protection and other public benefits to the community. The fund will provide for the completion of projects to be selected by New York State and Entergy after consultation with regional environmental organizations, in this case Riverkeeper, and community groups and interests, the district, the town, the village, so on and so forth. With respect to the environmental projects, priority will be given to projects for dam or culvert removal, purchase of sensitive wetland areas along the river, continuation of scientific studies designed to advance the protection of riverine species, and prevention of the introduction of invasive species to the Hudson River watershed, and any other projects determined by New York State and Entergy that are consistent with the purposes for which the fund has been established. So, all of the bigwigs got around the table and essentially said, let's start thinking of $15 million of use for community benefit and also environmental benefit. So it was a beginning conversation. We certainly have our interests, our schools, our community schools, our fields, our tracks, our auditoriums, our gymnasiums certainly serve a community purpose. The town and the village have done some improvement work down by the waterfront. They believe that $15 million should be allocated for those sort of improvements. And then there's Riverkeeper, who believes that Indian Point has done detrimental harm to the river, and that some of the money should be used to restore or correct some of that harm from Indian Point. So there's $15 million out there. Nothing is earmarked. Everyone is sort of positioning to determine what should be eligible, but the ultimate approval will be Entergy or Indian Point and New York State. So we're going to meet again in a couple months regarding really a wish list that will be of community benefit, that will be maybe some programs or purchases that will keep taxes down, but the money cannot be used to offset tax increases. It's not $15 million that we can pull to decrease taxes. So I know there was that sense when Indian Point closed a year ago. Everyone championed, or at least the governor and Indian Point championed this $15 million pot of money, but it's really for development purposes. So that kicked off today, and we'll keep you in the loop.
Is there a time frame for like when they expect to have a decision made as to how that money will be divvied up?
So this agreement is expressly silent in a timeline. Some had thought that the plant had to be completely closed and lights off in order to go after the $15 million, and the governor's assistant, who's leading this charge, essentially said it's up to us. Once we have an approved plan, we get Indian Point and the state together and get them to put the money into an escrow, and then we start withdrawing on it. So it's technically silent, but what the state said was once we have an approved plan that meets these criteria, we should be able to get rolling.
Those being missed opportunities.
Yeah, we want to do something now. We don't want to wait till 2025 or whenever they're closed. So we will keep you in the loop.
Okay. Board comments, new business?
So
Nobody? All right. I skipped audience comments again because there is no audience again tonight. So can I have a motion to close the meeting? Next meeting is February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Really?
It is.
yeah, we're going to have our mid-year academic report update then. We'll have Margaret, Matthew, and Lisa, and myself filling everyone in on what we've done and where we're going. We have
More budgets.
and more budget
We'll have
stuff.
flowers and candles and candy. Just 5-year anniversary with us.
Be very romantic with all of us together on Valentine's
Everybody wear
Day.
your pink tie. Oh, there you
That's
go.
right.
You wear the
No
same
better,
tie again.
no better group of people to spend Valentine's Day with. That's what they say.
God help you.
So we'll see you in 3 weeks on Valentine's Day.
Okay. Now we're ready? Someone like to make a motion to close the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.